To rely on. Relies on. To rely on. Relies on. To let on. Lets on. To let on. Lets on. To count on. Counts on. To count on. Counts on. To pick on. Picks on. To pick on. Picks on. To agree on. Agrees on. To agree on. Agrees on. To be on. Is on. Are on. Am on. To be on. Is on. Are on. Am on. To base on. Bases on. To base on. Bases on. To blame on. Blames on. To blame on. Blames on. To comment on. Comments on. To comment on. Comments on. To concentrate on. Concentrates on. To concentrate on. Concentrates on. To congratulate on. Congratulates on. To congratulate on. Congratulates on. To depend on. Depends on. To depend on. Depends on. To elaborate on. Elaborates on. To elaborate on. Elaborates on. To impose on. Imposes on. To impose on. Imposes on. To insist on. Insists on. To insist on. Insists on. To play on. Plays on. To play on. Plays on. To pride on. Prides on. To pride on. Prides on. To work on. Works on. To work on. works on. To admire for, admires for. To admire for, admires for. To apologize for, apologizes for. To apologize for, apologizes for. To apply for, apply for. To apply for, apply for. To ask for, asks for. To ask for, asks for. To blame for, blames for. To blame for, blames for. To care for, cares for. To care for, cares for. To pay for, pays for. To pay for, pays for. To pray for, prays for. To pray for, prays for. To prepare for, prepares for. To prepare for, prepares for. To head for, heads for. To head for, heads for. To long for, longs for. To long for, longs for. To scold for, scolds for. To scold for, scolds for. To search for, searches for. To search for, searches for. To excuse for, excuses for. To excuse for, excuses for. To vote for, votes for. To vote for, votes for. To wait for, waits for. To wait for, waits for. To wish for, wishes for. To wish for, wishes for. To work for, works for. To work for. Works for. To abstain from. Abstains from. To abstain from. Abstains from. To borrow from. Borrows from. To borrow from. Borrows from. To escape from. Escapes from. To escape from. Escapes from. To graduate from. Graduates from. To graduate from. Graduates from. To hide from. Hides from. To hide from. Hides from. To infer from. Infers from. To infer from. Infers from. To recover from. Recovers from. To recover from. Recovers from. To rescue from. Rescues from. To rescue from. Rescues from. To resign from. Resigns from. To resign from. Resigns from. To retire from. Retires from. To retire from. Retires from. To prevent from. Prevents from. To prevent from. Prevents from. To protect from. Protects from. To protect from. Protects from. To prohibit from. Prohibits from. To prohibit from. Prohibits from. To be about. Is about. Are about. To be about. Is about. Are about. To boast about. Boasts about. To boast about. Boasts about. To argue about. Argues about. To argue about. Argues about. To decide about. Decides about. To decide about. Decides about. To dream about. Dreams about. To dream about. Dreams about. To care about. Cares about. To care about. Cares about. To concern about. Concerns about. To concern about. Concerns about. To ask about. Asks about. To ask about. Asks about. To forget about. Forgets about. To forget about. Forgets about. To think about. Thinks about. To think about. Thinks about. To worry about. Worries about. To worry about. Worries about. To know about. Knows about. To know about. Knows about. To laugh about. Laughs about. To laugh about. Laughs about. To protest about. Protests about. To protest about. Protests about. To accuse of. Accuses of. To accuse of. Accuses of. To approve of. Approves of. To approve of. Approves of. To aware of. Awares of. To aware of. Awares of. To bilk out of. Bilks out of. To bilk out of. Bilks out of. To get rid of. Gets rid of. To get rid of. Gets rid of. To get tired of. Gets tired of. To get tired of. Gets tired of. To hear of. Hears of. To hear of. Hears of. To hope of. Hopes of. To hope of. Hopes of. To conceive of. Conceives of. To conceive of. Conceives of. To consist of. Consists of. To consist of. Consists of. To convict of. Convicts of. To convict of. Convicts of. To convince of. Convinces of. To convince of. Convinces of. To compose of. Composes of. To compose of. Composes of. To cure of. Curries of. To cure of. Curries of. To deprive of. Deprives of. To deprive of. Deprives of. To despair of. Despairs of. To despair of. Despairs of. To devoid of. Devoids of. To devoid of. Devoids of. To disapprove of. Disapproves of. To disapprove of. Disapproves of. To dream of. Dreams of. To dream of. Dreams of. To fond of. Fonds of. To fond of. Fonds of. To remind of. Reminds of. To remind of. Reminds of. To suspect of. Suspects of. To suspect of. Suspects of. To think of. Thinks of. To think of. Thinks of. To acquaint with. Acquaints with. To acquaint with. Acquaints with. To charge with. Charges with. To charge with. Charges with. To clutter with. Clutters with. To clutter with. Clutters with. To coincide with. Coincides with. To coincide with. Coincides with. To collide with. Collides with. To collide with. Collides with. To agree with. Agrees with. To agree with. Agrees with. To associate with. Associates with. To associate with. Associates with. To compare with. Compares with. To compare with. Compares with. To cover with. Covers with. To cover with. Covers with. To cram with. Crams with. To cram with. Crams with. To deal with. Deals with. To deal with. Deals with. To discuss with. Discusses with. To discuss with. Discusses with. To help with. Helps with. To help with. Helps with. To comply with. Complies with. To comply with. Complies with. To confront with. Confronts with. To confront with. Confronts with. To confuse with. Confuses with. To confuse with. Confuses with. To tamper with. Tampers with. To tamper with. Tampers with. To aim at. Aims at. To aim at. Aims at. To laugh at. Laughs at. To laugh at. Laughs at. To look at. Looks at. To look at. Looks at. To marvel at. Marvels at. To marvel at. Marvels at. To arrive at. Arrives at. To arrive at. Arrives at. To hint at. Hints at. To hint at. Hints at. To glance at. Glances at. To glance at. Glances at. To guess at. Guesses at. To guess at. Guesses at. To peer at. Peers at. To peer at. Peers at. To point at. Points at. To point at. Points at. To smile at. Smiles at. To smile at. Smiles at. To stare at. Stare at. To stare at. Stare at. To wink at. Winks at. To wink at. Winks at. To adapt to. Adapts to. To adapt to. Adapts to. To agree to. Agrees to. To agree to. Agrees to. To apologize to. Apologizes to. To apologize to. Apologizes to. To belong to. Belongs to. To belong to. Belongs to. To add to. Adds to. To add to. Adds to. To devote to. Devotes to. To devote to. Devotes to. To consent to. Consents to. To consent to. Consents to. To happen to. Happens to. To happen to. Happens to. To object to. Objects to. To object to. Objects to. To react to. Reacts to. To react to. Reacts to. To refer to. Refers to. To refer to. Refers to. To reply to. Replies to. To reply to. Replies to. To lead to. Leads to. To lead to. Leads to. To listen to. Listens to. To listen to. Listens to. To speak to. Speaks to. To speak to. Speaks to. To talk. Talks to. To talk. Talks to. To turn to. Turns to. To turn to. Turns to. To absorb in. Absorbs in. To absorb in. Absorbs in. To arrive in. Arrives in. To arrive in. Arrives in. To implicate in. Implicates in. To implicate in. Implicates in. To involve in. Involves in. To involve in. Involves in. To participate in. Participates in. To participate in. To participate in. Participates in. To participate in. Participates in. To be engrossed in. is engrossed in, are engrossed in, am engrossed in. To be engrossed in, is engrossed in, are engrossed in, am engrossed in. Are engrossed in, am engrossed in. Are engrossed in, am engrossed in. To believe in, believes in. To believe in, believes in. To confide in, confides in. To confide in, confides in. To result in, results in. To result in, results in. To specialize in, specializes in. To specialize in, specializes in. To trust in, trusts in. To trust in, trusts in.